Pardon me?
Oh, sorry.
Want me to face it towards the board or no? That's monitor?
Testing, testing. Hello, hello.
Zenobia?
Testing, testing. Hello. Nope. Testing, testing, testing. Testing, testing, testing.
Yeah, a little bit, but yeah.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello.
Hello?
Hello, hello, hello.
I don't know.
All right, well, we're going to get started without the mics. We'll just do it the old school way.
We will project.
Do we know if the thing is recording?
Is it recording? Yeah.
All right, good evening, everybody. Today is April the 10th, 2018. Our mics aren't working, but that's not going to deter us. How's everybody this evening? Everybody in good shape? Got your teacher voices on? Because we have a number of speakers, 14 speakers. You'll take the mic, and Madam Clerk, they have 3 minutes. And tonight is just our night to listen. You won't hear the board respond to any of your comments. We want to hear your comments on the budget as you understand it today. So we'll begin with Lakia Tilcock.
Oh. Hello, my name is Lakia Tilcock, and I'm a student at Joseph C. Wilson High School. I'm also a youth organizer at Teen Empowerment. Can I have my fellow youth organizers raise their hand? There they are. So today I'll be reading you a piece that I wrote at a previous event for my job. So dear education system, I am convinced that you no longer care about my future. School is not the same as it used to be. I am not being prepared for what comes in the real world. We are not being prepared for our future. We are not being taught what to expect when we leave high school. You never taught me how to live on my own, how to do taxes, or how to maintain a schedule, yet even what to expect when I leave for college. Now that I think about it, college was a topic that was barely discussed. In the RCSD, it feels as though that MCC is our only option. You overwhelm us with piles of work and make us feel like we can't breathe. It's crazy what we learn in school. You have us memorize things that won't even matter when we apply for jobs, things that 80% of students will never have to use, let alone see again. But the million-dollar question is, how are we supposed to focus on school when nobody is asking us how do we feel? How are we feeling? With limited outlets inside of our schools, there is no room to vent, so instead we are forced to keep our voices silenced and try to do our work. School needs to teach us the importance of developing relationships with family and friends, how to manage money, how to manage our mental health, and teach us logic and reason. I want the best for my peers and other students, but to do that, we need understanding teachers and staff, culturally informed counselors, or maybe even a course to prepare us for the real world. When making this budget, please consider including the things that I previously mentioned. We need resources, like better resources, so that our youth can thrive. So here I'm asking you to take my hand on this journey and help us RCSD students climb the ladder to success. We matter. Thank you for your time.
Kiara Johnson. Oh, it's working now. You can turn that down just a little bit. Thank you. She will be followed by Destiny Ford.
Hi.
Hello.
My name is Kiara Johnson. I am a junior at School of the Arts, and I am also a youth organizer. And I, too, will be reading a piece that I have written for an event that we did at Teen Empowerment, and I just kind of changed some things a little bit so you guys can kind of get it. United States schooling system, America's biggest assembly line, teaching us the same thing the same way at the same time, and for some reason we're criticized and we can't climb as high as the white kids with better education can climb. Our city schools don't get a dime, and if they do, then they're not using them right. And our black and brown youth are expected to fall behind, and they call us the criminals, but our school system, along with the adults making decisions but not including us in it, have committed the biggest crime. These are American schools where guns are important, but I am not, where white students are considered smart, but I am not, where parents should be informed and valued, but mine are not. Body shaming, bare minimum teaching, and suspending our black boys and girls for anything small and petty. Our city schools is where this has been happening. And even though parents and students should be standing up against this, somehow we've been adapting. And we're told that we'll only be drug dealers or maybe even working at a fast food restaurant too. But the kids at Athena get taught that they can do whatever they want to do. While in our city schools, we feel like we're being sized up for orange jumpsuits. And they say that it's our fault because we don't take interest in our own education. But hear me out, it's 2018 and we're still learning so Eurocentric, but you see what color our skin is. No funds for teachers who, like us, yet we're expected to naturally feel included. But our city schools have been keeping the struggle that Black and brown youth face secluded. When we speak of Pan-African studies, we're muted. But understand that having more teachers who look and understand us is truly therapeutic. I feel like my interest for school has been taken and has been executed, and I feel like my culture inside of school has been diluted. And adults tell us that we don't take pride in our own education, and that's not true. But with a budget of $950 million something, I don't see anything new. And if you're going to make decisions on our behalf, then include the youth too, because we're here to make a change, so that's what we're going to do. And I have a list of things that I would love to see funded in my school because I am going to be a senior next year, so I would love to have a Pan-African Studies class inside the School of the Arts. I don't think that it's difficult to find a Black teacher who can teach these things and get the curriculum so I can feel included in the learning, because once the learning is inclusive, I will feel more accepted, students will feel accepted, and the school climate overall will feel much more beautiful and more accepting. So thank you for hearing that all, and please consider putting Pan-African Studies into the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Destiny Ford. Hello, now it's off again. Hello? No, it's not. Hello, testing, testing. Turn it off. Hello, Destiny. She will be followed by Arthur Wilson.
Good afternoon. I'm a student at Wilson Magna High School, and I'm also a youth organizer. Being trapped in this building for 6+ hours and leaving my personality at the door while leaving my phone at the door, there's nothing I want more than to turn around and go home. My counselor's door is always shut. I have no one to lean on. You see, it's I go hard or starve because I'm taking care of me and her. I'm trying my hardest not to put myself in the dirt. Please excuse me if I'm not focused on this schoolwork. So send my book back through them skinners before I snap on you like I ain't got no manners. Tim's off, coats off. I might as well turn my brain off because I ain't learning nothing about life. And being a paid educator, not educating, this not right. My new school got me singing a new song. I found out who they was really trying to bust moves on. Is you trying to play New York and come up on that money, or is you trying to play me? Because I got way more potential than what you refusing to see. I know your kids 30 miles away gotta eat, but ain't you getting paid for your best interest to be me? And if y'all get guns, I'm getting gone. Because no matter how light of a contour I put on to escape my blackness, the melanin in my skin will always seep through the surface and make me a target. Schools are no longer learning environments, more like war zones. More like I'll never get to voice my opinion and I'm always wrong. So please, when considering the budget, consider the children it will affect. Consider the lack of counselors, consider the lack of textbooks, consider the lack of resources our CSD students have compared to suburban districts. And take into consideration what we already have. Scanners, SSOs, and police officers on site. For some reason, my school climate don't feel right. It's sad that I have to walk to school because I live less than 1.5 miles away. That desperately needs to change. And I hope y'all spend this money right. Because time flies, I'm only in 9th grade now, but I've been forced to realize that a 4.0 GPA means nothing if your school lacks everything it needs to grow. Thank you.
Thank you, Destiny. Arthur Wilson will be followed by Diamond Ham.
Hello, how y'all morning? How y'all afternoon? My bad, I said morning. How y'all afternoon? How y'all doing?
Good.
Y'all doing good? All right. My name is Arthur Wilson. I am a sophomore at Wilson Magna High School, and I am a youth organizer at Teen Department, so just want to tell y'all a little something. Why do my school feel like I'm going to prison? Metal detectors in the school and all over the building, but Bobby and John's school look like they going to Princeton. I go to school and ask for help, but they don't get no assistance. They give us nasty food every day like they get to the prisons. 3 counselors, 1,000 kids, man, it's crazy. They got money, but they being lazy. They giving all the suburban kids resources, but having us waiting. It's crazy how they do it so shady. Not enough resources, so I might as well graduate when I'm 80. So as you decide on what to prioritize in the budget for next year, please keep in mind that we need more restorative practices, like the help zone. We need more counselors because we only have 3 counselors for 1,000 students. That don't make no sense. We need better training for centuries. All these things will save y'all money because we wouldn't need police officers in our schools anymore. And we need better food because who want to come to school and eat food like it's from prison? Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Diamond Ham will be followed by Jayana Pert.
Hey, I'm Diamond Ham, and I'm a youth organizer at Teen Empowerment. Okay. In our schools, our issues are ignored. We try to talk about our problems, but all we have is a shut door. It's really a shame. I've been attending Wilson Magnet High School for 2 years now, and I don't even know my counselor's name. So instead, we're left to deal with our issues on our own, and the issues only get deeper. Now kids are being punished because they snapped at their teacher. See, they would rather suspend us and kick us out than to ask what's wrong. Now we're completely behind in our classes because we haven't been to school in so long. And see, what those teachers didn't know is that that kid who snapped, they didn't sleep last night. They live in a home where their parents always fight. They have nothing to eat, so instead they turn to the streets. Doing drugs to cope with the pain, their lifestyle has turned insane. If only those teachers would have asked that kid why. Why are you acting out at school? Why? It's such a short and bleak question, but that one question could have saved that kid's life. As we look at the budget this year, please understand that us city kids deal with a lot on a daily basis. We need more teachers who care about our problems and who have the time to care about our problems. Our schools need more counselors who are available for any student who needs them and not just a select few. We need more programs that keep kids involved in school. Our schools should help build us up instead of being the start to our downfalls. All we want is for our problems to be heard and understood. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ham. Next one is Rathia Lee.
My name is Jayana Pert. No, I'm playing. My name is Xavier Campbell. Jayana Pert couldn't be here, so I'm just replacing her for today.
Oh, okay, all right.
Xavier Campbell.
Repeat your name.
Xavier Campbell.
Okay.
City schools. Why they treat us like a tool? Dumbing things down so now I feel like the fool. What are you preparing me for? They always told me it was college. But with all this knowledge, I know you're not being honest. Wake up, students. 6 o'clock on the dot. Put on your uniform. It don't matter if it's cold or not. And better put on that tie. It better be a perfect knot. We got to make sure you all look alike. Might as well put us in all orange jumpsuits. That's what it sounds like. And we all got to make sure this is what your future is going to be like. Come inside, students. Enter. But you better go through that metal detector. And give me your phones. No connection with the outside world. You can't text or call anyone, especially not a girl. Why is it that I feel more like a criminal than a student? We got to make sure it's a safe place to learn. So this is how we do it. You only may address us by Mr. and Mrs. and last name only. You better not say my first name because you ain't my homie. That's how it is in the real world. At least that's what they told me. Walking through a cramped hall, I bumped into every kid I saw. Only got 5 minutes to make it to class or don't come at all. Take all your belongings and lock them up. You got to eat what we feed you, even if it tastes like dump. Step out of line and we'll send you home because that's exactly what we need. So you see, these the rules that you planted in us ever since we was a seed. Can't converse on our opinions because you rather scream and shout. I've been sent home so many times it felt like I dropped out. Didn't learn a thing at home, so all I do is fail. So did you really prepare me for my future? Because all it's looking like is jail.
Rathia Lee will be followed by Neil Williams. Rathia Lee. Retha Lee. Or Neil Williams. He would be followed by Barbara Brody.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm here to represent, first and foremost, my kids, all of them. I'm also here for Metro. Hey, I don't know what the name is. I'm Metro Justice. Not that I am part of them, but I do respect a lot of things that they do. With that being said, I can't rap like those young kids did, and they flipped to get pretty good. Maybe when I was younger, I could probably did something like that, but now that's good, but they all sound excellent. When it comes to the budget, at School 28, and I'm the PTO president, I'm also the scholastic person who looks over all the reading. There has been a time where I've sat in that school for a week straight, from 8 in the morning to 2 o'clock at night, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and there are 2 security guards with over 870 some odd kids. That is an impossibility for 2 people to be able to handle that job. Now, the principal does a good job of trying to make sure that it's being put together and handled right, and they do the best they can at School 28. But what I am saying is they need help. I'm not saying necessarily more centuries, but people who can help these kids, like those kids who was just talking, all of them said they need help. There's something that you have to listen to that when kids are saying they need help. It's not a bunch of grown folks talking. These are children saying, help us, do something for us. You have to open up your eyes and in your minds and say, let's do the right thing. With that being said, I'm going to say to you, Mr. Van White, that if you care about Rochester and about these kids, then keep your butt where you at right now and keep doing your job and not trying to find another job. That's what we need you to do, is stay here. We need you to stay strong for this community and do the right thing. I'm asking you, and you know me, we know each other. Man, keep your tail here and do the right thing. My man.
Barbara Brody will be followed by Iman Abid. And I apologize if I'm mispronouncing somebody's name.
Hello, I'm Barbara
Hello.
Brody. I'm a member of Metro Justice and the Alliance for Quality Education. As a parent and a grandparent of children with learning disabilities, and as a retired mental health social worker, and as a restorative justice practitioner, and as a substitute teacher, I have seen firsthand the issues we all face in trying to obtain services for children and teens. After reading the Children's Agenda budget proposals for next year, I would like to add my recommendations. A collaborative department for special education and bilingual services is needed. It needs to be put together. The special education component would include identification, intervention, and placement, taking into account mental health issues, learning, and developmental disabilities. It is my understanding that there are 75 different languages in the city school district. A language assessment would include cultural and religious sensitivities and the trauma experience that a lot of our children have when they come from foreign countries, when they've been in war-torn countries, and also are as a result of natural disasters like Puerto Rico. Therefore, a comprehensive approach would save money in the long run if we put these services into place preventatively. The comprehensive approach would include hiring staff who are qualified in issues of diversity and multicultural approaches to learning and mental health. A number of years ago, I started an agency, a 501c3, with my partner who was bilingual, and we provided services for refugees. And we advocated for the international school and was delighted when RIA was established. Therefore, we need more schools that can integrate multicultural, bilingual, and mental health services. I would be more than happy to help you because I am a social worker and I have worked with developmentally disabled children and with bilingual families. So whatever you can do, ask us in the community and we will help. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brody. Iman Abid. She will be followed by Eileen Graham.
Thank you. My name is Iman Abe, and I'm the Regional Director for the Genesee Valley region of the American Civil Liberties Union. The Rochester City School District has the potential to thoroughly review its effort with the public and to ensure the undoing of the damage that the city has left on its students, parents, and faculty. As the budget is being reviewed and voted on, we ask that there be a serious consideration for a number of incredibly vital items. To ensure that the school district does not have to witness another tragedy like Trevian Row, we are calling on greater transparency, stability, and the best use of resources so we can ensure that each child is granted the education they are legally obligated to have. The Specialized Services Department has seen 3 top leaders leave the department, and the director positions have been completely restructured. It is important that each child is provided with the proper programs and services they need so that their needs are met immediately. The school district continues to delay responses to parents' requests for their children with IEPs. The school needs to understand that responding to a parent's questions and a child's needs immediate attention instead of the months that some parents and students have been waiting for. The district is legally bound to fulfill the needs of every student. The issues with compliance, student placements, and the quality of instruction must be addressed immediately. Every staffer interacting with students with IEPs must have a proper training to support those students. If you put in 25 to 50% of the effort into those students, the school district will continue to find itself dealing with the much larger legal issues. Because of the lack of attention each child has been given, we have seen a tremendous spike in suspensions among students with disabilities, specifically among students of color compared to their general educational peers. Suspension hinders the academic progress of each child and puts them behind when compared to their peers. This is a major racial equity issue as well as an education equity issue. Each child must be given the same opportunities to succeed, and we need to ensure the students are not being removed from the classroom for behavior consistent with their disability. By ensuring proper staff are available to tend to each child, as well as making improvements on school climate and making additions to the social emotional support made available across the district, we can work towards reducing the number of suspensions and getting students back on track. Programs and services must be available across school buildings, and no educator or parent should be unable to find the support they need for each child. We need to ensure that disruptions to students' education are not occurring. Each change in a program, staffer, educator, and education plan can be a potential disruption to a child's education. The school must be more thorough in the changes it wishes to make, and that can be optimized with more opportunities for students, parents, and educators to participate in the ongoing conversations regarding changes that might be made within the RCSD. It is so important to make sure that no child is left behind because they don't feel safe or they don't understand the language or can't find the support they need. The district is legally bound to ensure that each child can succeed and is provided with the means to earn their diploma or more. It is a shame that as we look to other districts for examples of what we should be, we don't have to look too far. Each child should be promised the same opportunity that each child may have in places like Brighton, Pittsford, and Rush Henrietta. Education is a right that each child has, and the administration must make sure that right is met. These issues have gone on for too long, and the attention on these issues is growing. Please make the wise decisions tonight to undo the damage done and create a path for a brighter future for each child. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Graham will be followed by Ms. Steinberg, or Lorette Steinberg. Sorry.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So it is a pleasure to be here tonight. I'm super excited about the future of where we're going in our district. And I just want to thank you all for this opportunity to just share some things that I've personally been working on that has to do with the budget and just some things I feel we need to address, So the first thing I have on my list is restorative funding. And I guess I was being nice about that because I think about reparations and I think about how comfortable we are talking about what Black and Hispanic students need and how they're failing. But, we're still the most historically disenfranchised community in our district. So I think we need to be very intentional as far as what we mean when we talk about restorative funding and repairing the damage that continues to take place as it relates to Black and brown students in our community. And taking a whole child approach, looking at the student to teacher ratio and really paying a closer attention to our school environments and really what that looks like in each classroom. When we talk about school counselors and mental health professionals, really what do our students need? We hear the stories and we come here and we share with you all our stories, but really how can our counselors and mental health professionals best meet the needs of the students for each school, because each school has a different need. And then, I think our funding should also be put into transformative leadership, you know, having the school level accountability, but also each leader really taking the womanist ideology. I did some research on that, which talks about these children and as being our children. And so I think that when we really look at the budget, those are just some ideas that I have that maybe we can really start to invest in transformative leadership and really not, you know, continue with the status quo. The disenfranchisement of our students and the trauma that continues to be the cycle. I really need for our leaders to be community organizers, to be culturally humble and competent, to understand that nothing exists in silos. Everything is interconnected, mental and social. So the vision that we have for our district, and I don't think this takes money, but I think the vision that we need in Rochester, because if our schools are failing, our city is failing. And we have families moving constantly because of our schools. And we have everything we need right here. So I'm really super excited about understanding what our vision is and getting the community to buy into that, because we need a healthy city like yesterday. We don't have another 25 years. We don't have another 10 years. And I don't want my daughter standing here with a broken heart asking for the same thing. So I think that investing in our historically disenfranchised and not being afraid to say that and identify that our Black students don't need to just be statistics that we talk about. We need to be proactive in where that funding is going. And the transformative leadership, the whole child, and lowering our class size and all that other fun stuff, but really, if we all understand the vision that we have, that you all have, then we can push the vision that you all have shared with us in our community and what we want for our schools.
Thank you, Ms. Graham. Lorette Steinberg will be followed by Rosemary Rivera.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Lorette Steinberg. I'm a Metro Justice Alliance for Quality Education member and Associate Professor Emerita from RIT. My two children taught me a great deal about the business of education. I'm talking about the difference between the ways that children learn or don't and the models that define what schools do. My daughter picked up a copy of the LA Times one day and told me that Sears was having a sale. She's not quite 2.5 years old. She had trouble in school because she was often bored. My son, diagnosed with Tourette syndrome and ADHD, had a number of learning issues, but no one recognized or helped us identify the ways that his curiosity and creativity could be put to use to help him learn. One size does not fit all children. This budget shows that the district recognizes some children have different needs, but the structures intended to address the needs of our children and the implementation of programs is at best erratic and at worst administered by a staff that often have difficulty working with each other. Children thrive on stability. Staff cuts and turnovers interrupt their growth. They feel safer and learn more when they know they can trust the people in charge of their care will be there for them. Large class sizes make it possible for some children to be missed. A stressed teacher won't notice a child who doesn't understand something. A stressed teacher doesn't notice that when a child is physically missing from the classroom. We must create smaller classes and opportunities for each child to interact with their teacher. We need relationships, not monitoring. Children want to go to school if it's an inviting environment. More police officers and magnetometers ensure that children feel incarcerated rather than invited. These funds can be put to better use. Students themselves ask for counselors instead of cops. Children are distracted by other children with serious behavior issues. Suspending so-called problem students isn't the answer for any of them. School staff need to identify the sources of the children's behavior and help troubled kids return to school and the classroom community, not just for their own sake, but as examples and life lessons for us all. We don't have enough trained counselors, psychologists, social workers, and restorative practices staff. Children whose first language isn't English want to learn and to fit in. If there is no bilingual teacher or that teacher is overloaded with students, they can retreat into silence. The community in school and the community outside of school cannot thrive without being welcoming and fostering interaction. Children who live in poverty, as more than half of our children do, are often hindered by personal and community trauma, living with racism and its effects. Too often they blame themselves, not always recognizing when they're being marginalized. They need help to grow from the setbacks of poverty and trauma. Schools can only help them when there are enough counselors, psychologists, and other specialists available. Finally, our children grow up in a world of structural racism and implicit bias. Children need to understand themselves, their classmates, and their world without bias. This demands a culturally responsive education. Rochester's teachers and all of us have to recognize inherent racism and build a stronger and more nurturing learning environment for all of our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Rosemary Rivera will be followed by Antoinette Irwin.
Hi.
Hello.
First of all, I just want to say thank you to the board for putting together an advisory committee, particularly you, Van White, and putting that advisory committee on school climate. We're working hard. We will have recommendations to you in September. We all got together, though, and we were thinking about the fact that as we're moving forward, that there are budget implications to school climate all the way around. There are some things that have budgetary impacts, and there are some things that actually don't, that would actually improve school climate. So this is not from me. This is a letter from the teachers, from the students, and from the parents and the district staff, Idonia, Kali, a lot of us that work together around that. So I'd like to share this letter with you. I wanted to, for the rest of the folks that are here don't know what it's on it, we wanted to share the things that have budget implications, which many of them have been mentioned. One of them that we wanted to highlight is the help zones. The help zones, we have them in secondary schools, and we have them in K-8 schools. They work. They're working. I'll be honest with you, they are very helpful. We want to expand that into the elementary schools at this point. So that's something that that little extra money goes a long way. Of course, culturally relevant curriculum, etc. There's also some of the things that are really is creating parent welcoming systems and protocols. One thing that was really, that came out that I thought was really interesting, because it came out from both district staff, parents, etc., was customer service improvement efforts at central office and an analysis of how money currently used for this purpose is effectively utilized. I don't think we've really analyzed that in a good way. And in conclusion, this is from the Advisory Committee on School Climate, understands the impact that school climate has on academic achievement of the student. It's really the plate that education is built on. All of the dollars that we're talking about, if we want to maximize them, we really need to have a positive school climate. I'm really glad of all of the work that has been happening in moving in that direction, but we will be discussing other impacts such as the need for police in schools, question mark. We look forward to delivering a full set of recommendations by September. I'll give these to you. And again, I want to thank you all for the work. Let me tell you, people are looking at Rochester and what you've done here from all across the country. We are really moving things and implementing things thanks to Ruth Turner and a whole lot of people, Idonia, a lot of people in this district that are getting behind this. You can't go half-stepping. We gotta go, we need the full loaf so that people can stand up, pay attention. They need to follow Rochester and where we're going in terms of school climate, but we gotta go all the way, not half step. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Rivera. Antoinette Irwin will be followed by Zenobia Nelson, and again, I apologize if I mispronounce that name. Thanks.
Okay. I'm hoping I can keep myself together. I'm struggling a little. It's been a very long day, and I'm still dealing with some stuff. I currently work as an ESL teacher for the district, but I'm also certified in English and special ed. I currently have a special ed self-contained 15-1 class where I am quite concerned with what I'm seeing in the special ed part of our district and what I'm seeing with our Ls. And the idea of those two departments being cut any further terrifies me. We have kids that are not even getting the services they're supposed to get now. So the idea of anything that further diminishes what is at least a third of our population in the district. I looked at the numbers earlier today. For my school alone, we have over 200 students in the one and 196 in the other. And I can't remember which is which because I don't have my paper in front of me. I looked at the district numbers and they're similar. Those two pieces of our district have some of the highest dropout rates, and I am begging you, find more qualified special ed teachers, find more qualified ESL teachers, because if you do that and you really push to minimize the classroom sizes and to really focus on ESL and special ed, right there you'll see such a change in your graduation rates, because right now I have Ls that are so frustrated and fed up. I'm begging them to come to class. I'm begging them to do their work. And they're like, Miss, I'm so lost, I'm so far behind. And if I only see a kid twice a day, and I'm the only help they're getting, it's nowhere near enough. I can ask them to come during lunch, I can ask them to come after school, but if by the end of the day they're exhausted, they don't want to stay after school. They're already fried. So please consider how you do this budget very carefully. Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, Ms. Nelson.
Yes, my name is Zenobia Nelson.
Nelson.
I am a grandmother that I'm raising. All three of my boys are in special ed. This is Jazeer Nelson. Go on. Jazeer was attacked by his teacher in 2016. This is like my third or fourth time coming to this board asking for some help. The main help I need is just an apology. The Board of Education hasn't gave him or me that. Another thing I'm asking is with some of this money, you train these teachers. This teacher was not trained. He said he slammed my first grader in a 12-1-1 class because he thought he was talking about his mother. And 10 minutes later, he realized he was talking about another student. He admitted to it. My question to the principal, what's your protocol? They sent me to Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis, the Board of Education gave me a detective. Gave me a detective. I waited a year and 8 months to find out it was non-founded because he admitted to it. To find out this teacher wasn't even trained to be in this class. First of all, it's a 12-1-1 class. That means 12 students and 2 teachers. He was the only teacher in that class. Why? You tell me why was he the only teacher in this 12-1-1 class? I'm asking you. If it was your child, what would you do? If it was your grandchild, what would you do? I didn't ask for no money, because I ain't got no money. They said, get a lawyer. The lawyer asked me for some money I don't have. Don't nobody, I'm talking about Empire and everyone said, Ms. Nelson, we can't help you when it comes down to the Board of Education. I'm on SSI and my kids are on DSS. Because of that, we deserve nothing? because Medicaid paid for his medical bills. We don't deserve apology? Come on. I'm asking you. I ain't asking you for a dime. My baby got a lifetime mark on his head. I didn't ask for a dime, I just asked for an apology. And train these teachers right. Because I don't want them to be, I don't want another one like Trayvon.
All right, that concludes our list of speakers. Again, I don't want folks to misinterpret our response or lack thereof. This is the portion of the meeting where we just sit and listen because there's important things that need to be said, and there's staff sitting out there in the audience taking notes. The deputy superintendent is up here taking notes, and we will integrate those notes and our thoughts in the development of the budget. But again, I just want to emphasize, just because we're not responding to things doesn't mean we don't have a response. Our most important response should be in making sure that the budget reflects your needs, all right? There being no further business before the board tonight, except to listen to speakers, I would announce that our next budget hearing is April the 25th, 2018 at 6 p.m. I need a motion to go into executive session to discuss matters relating to a particular person and to a particular student.
So moved.
And moved by Commissioner Hallmark, seconded by Commissioner Funchess. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Ladies and gentlemen, we will adjourn our meeting from downstairs on the second floor. There may be a vote, there may not be a vote, but if you want to see us after we get out of executive session, which is a closed session, you'd have to come down to the second floor. God bless and have a nice night.